It's an honor to be here today. First time in Sacramento. I live in Las Vegas. You can thank me for the rain yesterday. I understand that there's two places on the United States that doesn't rain, Vegas and Sacramento. We checked that box yesterday. So it's an honor being with you here today. And we're going to go over a story. We're going to talk about a framework. We're going to talk about some methods today. And these next hour and a half that we're here, it's not a 14-day seminar on how to do a budget. We're going to actually talk about some fun stuff today, how to elevate our income, what to do to create stress-free wealth. But these next few minutes that we're going to spend together, this is where I want you to plug in, because I don't want you to miss the thing that over the next 12, 18, 24, 36 months that we look back, the time is going to pass. I don't want you to miss the thing that says, I wish I would have got it. I missed it, right? Because the book we don't read won't help us, right? So the event we go to and we don't take the notes, or we, worried about the buyer, worried about the seller, trust me, they'll still be blowing up your phone at 12:30 instead of 10:30, right? That's what buyers and sellers do, right? So eventually, we'll talk about this today, is who here wants to eventually exit the transaction treadmill? Right, okay. It's just never talked about anywhere in our world, and we're going to talk about that today and how to create stress-free wealth, even though our income might be wildly inconsistent or we're slightly disorganized. Because nobody in this room's financially disorganized, right? We know where all the money's going before we spend it, right? Before it comes in. And so we're going to talk a lot about that today. We're going to talk about the wealth method. There's a flyer on your desk or on your table today to talk about the 5 financial mistakes that agents make. We're not going to be able to go deep into that. There's a QR code on the corner there. I actually wrote a book called How to Create Stress-Free Wealth. And the book actually walks you through that. So make sure you download that either when you see the QR code or on that, because it will be a map on your next best step. So how I got here today, I think is very important. Johnny alluded to it. I didn't just roll out of bed and know all of this stuff about money. My transformation and how I got to this place started on the counselor's couch 12 years ago, 300 pounds, alcoholic, addictive sports gambler, smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, fast food twice a day, wondering, and making $250,000 a year. We didn't have money, but we had no time. And on this journey that we went on, I was sitting on the couch. I was on one side, Melinda was on the other. We'd been together a few years. We'd been married all of 14 months, on the verge of divorce. I said my side of the story. She said her side of the story. In 35 minutes, the counselor looked me dead in the eye and asked me a very important question. He said, Matt, I've heard enough. I've heard it for 25 years. Can you go 90 days without a drink? And I said, Mike, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I want to, but if I did, she'd still be the same person she is today. Now, I wasn't that nice in 2012. Turn that off. Sorry, guys. Got something going on here. You guys are all downloading the ebook is what you're doing. I'm like, what is going on my wrist? Somebody is paying attention. So I said it's all going to be her fault. And at that moment, I realized I was looking external, not internal. I was blaming everybody else for being that person. I was still a good person, right? My mom still loved me, right? Melinda loved me. She probably loved me a little too much. However, I realized that I was looking at someone on the other side and she was in tears. She just wanted her husband back. She actually didn't care if I drank, gambled, or smoked. She just wanted her husband back. right? The person that she fell in love with. And so it sent me on a journey down the path of transformation. And we're going to talk about transformation today. And I want you guys, when we get to the time, like, to really internalize this. That when I got to a place, and Mike said, Matt, I've heard it all. You're blaming her. You're not blaming yourself. You're not taking ownership. You've got 12 months, or you're going to be dead, divorced, in jail, or broke. You got a year. You got 365 days, or this is over. And so that sent me on a journey to say, hey, do I want to stop drinking? Do I want to stop gambling? Do I want to lose weight? Like, how do I start to unpack this? And I didn't want to do the other things. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my friends. I enjoyed the thing that I was doing. However, I knew I could affect what I put into my body. I chose the path of least resistance, right? Drugs or alcohol, chemicals. Gambling, dopamine. So cigarettes, chemicals. Food, I can affect that. Get up off the couch, get some fresh air. There was nothing back here in my brain that told me I couldn't do that. Because I'd lost weight. Who's lost 20 pounds before, right? Who's lost 20 pounds a few too many times? Yeah, I think I'm about a decade of losing 20 pounds. Lose 20, gain 30, lose 20, gain 30, lose 20, gain 30. 300 pounds, alcoholic, addictive sports gambling. My yo-yo diet turned into a yo-yo lifestyle. And so on this journey, I said, I'm going to start losing weight, and I saw the pounds start coming off the scale. 300, 296, 293, 289. And I started seeing some wins and feeling better. Who knows what I'm talking about? Belt feels a little looser, dress feels a little looser, right? But I didn't show up 7 days sober. It was always 3 days, 1 day, 2 days, 0 days. It was never Thursday to Thursday sober. Until I made a decision on May 19. I was driving home from Arlington, Virginia, down I-66, and I had 2 drinks at a real estate agent event. You real estate agents. You got me again. 3 days sober, gone. And I said, I'm tired of pissing away days of sobriety. I'm just done. Because I'd lost 20 pounds. And so I showed up 4 days sober, and then I showed up 11 days sober, and then I showed up 18 days sober, and today it's been 12 and a half years. Wow. And so over that time of losing some weight, becoming sober, I realized that I was significantly terrible at sports betting. I was awful. And I had a massive monster weekend. I lost it all on Memorial Day weekend. I went 3-29 in baseball. And if you know baseball betting, it is no bueno. And so on June 2nd, I placed my last bet, 2012. And so over this thing, I started having these transformations, and I was getting these wins. And guys, I want you to relate this to real estate, is that you take a listing, you sell a house, and then you look and you have no pipeline, and then you make the calls and you sell a pipeline. You just restart over and over and over, and there's no flow and there's no thing. So you're going to hear weight loss, sobriety. It's like, I don't have that problem. No, it's just translate it to lead generation, right? Translate it to savings, translate it to investing, right? It's the same thing. The compound effect works in every area of life. And so as we got 6 months into this, I started creating some margin in my life. And when you drink, gamble, and smoke every single day, and you stop doing that, you create a lot of time between 4 o'clock and 10 o'clock p.m. every single day. Like, baseball just doesn't matter. The Colts, the Cincinnati Reds, right? None of that stuff matters because you just don't care anymore. However, if you're looking down the line of time and you're aiming at the board, and how far, if you only have one closing, how far can you see? Friday? You can see the end of the closing. And that's what happens when you have all of these things that are stacking up inside of you in your world. They're on your chest, they're on your shoulders. And when you remove it, you realize how much time is available. And so it gave me a longer view of time that I started looking forward instead of backwards. And I was staring, start of football season, college football, NFLs, baseball, hockey, all of this stuff. And I knew that it was going to be a disaster if I didn't fill the void from 4 to 10. I was busy at work, but I was bored at night, which led me to entrepreneurship, which led us to make some more money. I ended up losing 100 pounds, broke my smoking addiction. Melinda got excited. She started doing fitness competitions, bikini competitions, over and over and over. And we were the face of the Body by Vi Challenge. Who's ever had a Visalis protein shake? Yeah, we've got a few of them in there, right? Shake mix that tastes like cake mix. It's still in the pantry. Like, we still get that stuff. It's amazing. But it led us on to another place in our life, another couch, where we had to have a conversation with each other around our money. Because we're sitting here and she's making $75,000, I'm making $150,000, and we're making $250,000 combined. And I'm like, how do we not have any money? Who's felt that? Yeah. Sold 24 houses, 36 houses, and be like, where did it all go? Yeah, 2013. We're spending 10, we're spending 14, we're making 10. We were buying things because we could afford the payments, trying to out-earn our spending. Am I talking to the right audience? Yes. Okay. No shame, no blame, no guilt, just the facts. I added it all up, I sat her down and said, we are $551,000 in debt. After we lose 100 pounds and become sober and quit drinking and rebuild our marriage. Yay us. We got to do it all over again. So we got exposed to new information, right? We don't just look at information for information's sake, we look for information for application's sake. We found a mentor, someone that has gone on a journey to start unpacking this debt. We got exposed to Dave Ramsey. We took Dave Financial Peace University. And the very first lesson, and you're going to hear about it in a second, and Dave's walking through the things, and I'm like, this is exactly how we lost 100 pounds. So it sent us on a path to understand money and our relationship and how to build a relationship with each other. And we spent years in conversations on putting a downward pressure on our lifestyle. I call that lowering the water. Sacrifice, delayed gratification. You're going to hear about it in a second. All of the things we don't want to do. It's like eating broccoli every day. It's like vegetable after vegetable after vegetable after vegetable. It's like, can we ever get to the dessert? But we made some serious sacrifices in delayed gratification, and I learned a ton about myself, my wife, our marriage, what couples do with money, what individuals do with money, and I started to understand what entrepreneurs would do with money. And 40 months later, after that meeting on the couch, this happened.
In the lobby of Ramsey Solutions, Matt and Melinda are with us. Hey guys, how are you?
Hey
Dave, hey Chris.
Welcome, welcome. Good to have you guys. Where do you live?
We live in Reston, Virginia, about 30 miles west of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, very cool. Well, welcome to Nashville. And you're here to do a debt-free scream.
Yes.
We are.
And how much have you paid off?
We've paid off a total of $550,000, Dave.
Ho, ho! And how long did this take?
We started in January 2014, so 40 months.
Wow. And your range of income during this time?
Our range was somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000.
Okay. And what do you guys do for a living?
I'm actually a brand new real estate agent, and
I'm in corporate law, so I'm a senior corporate paralegal in Reston.
Oh, very cool. Good for you guys. So, what kind of debt was $550,000?
It was everything under the sun, Dave. We had a house that we actually ended up selling about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. We had timeshares, we had credit cards, we had 2 luxury vehicles, we had personal loans, we had
401k loan.
401k loan, which actually
You had everything.
It was everything.
Y'all were like normal.
Pretty much, yes.
Wow. Crazy. So, what did the house sell for? How much?
We ended up selling the house. It was we owed $315 on it. We ended up right at $315, so it was slick. So
okay, so another 200 and some change.
Yeah, cash
and,
flow.
And did you sell any of the luxury cars?
Yeah, we sold one. It was a sweet 2013 BMW X3.
It was party.
Yeah.
It was party.
Yeah.
Came along with a party payment.
Yeah.
Wow. Ouch.
Yeah.
Sweet car too.
Well, the downside, the other side of that is we've driven one car for the last since that time. So for the last 2.5 years, we've driven one car.
Little Toyota Camry.
You guys went radical.
Yeah.
What happened 40 months ago?
Well, it's actually started. Everything starts when you're a kid, and I did everything my parents did, and ended up borrowing money to go to college, and tried to out-earn my spending my entire, early part of my sales career. But, 5 years ago, I used to weigh 300 pounds and alcoholic, addictive sports gambler. I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And so a weight loss transformation started this whole cycle 5 years ago. And so after all of that, after I lost about 20 pounds and overcame the addictions.
So you've lost a total of how much in weight?
A little over 100 pounds.
In that same period of time, really?
Actually, in my first year. And from 2012 to 2013, lost 100 pounds.
Congrats. You lost a Backstreet Boy.
I did. Actually, I lost my wife and gained her back all in the same time.
Sure did.
Good line.
Yeah.
I like that.
All within a year. So,
score.
Yeah. So, everything just kind of unfolded. And then when we found 2014, we realized we had a mountain of debt. And, when we went to that financial peace class that very first time, I looked back and I said, this is exactly how I lost 100 pounds. We're going to smash this. So financial peace was our gateway to you.
Oh, my gosh.
Absolutely.
Melinda, what happened to your man? He turned around. Why?
He did. He was a hot mess.
Yeah, he was.
We had went through a whole lot, and I went through a lot of prayer, and we had a come to Jesus meeting, and it was my last come to Jesus. And it
was really come to
It was.
Jesus.
You can love someone so much, but they've got to love themselves too. And it got to that point. We were in counseling, and it just came from one thing to another, and it started with, weight loss and just tackling everything at one time. So that was the catalyst. I was also 40 pounds heavier than I was, and I started a fitness journey.
Wow.
And now I'm a pro bikini competitor, and I've started running.
Look at you.
I started running, and my husband has actually now inspired me to do that. And he never would have set foot anywhere near a gym or even running anywhere other than maybe to Burger King.
Okay. Or unless somebody was chasing him,
Yeah.
So you guys are here on marathon weekend in Nashville. I'm assuming you guys ran the race.
Yeah, I did.
Good.
I ran. Melinda ran the 5K. I finished the half marathon on Sunday. So
good for you.
Yeah.
Thanks
what
for
was your
making
time?
2 hours and 18 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good run, dude.
Yeah, thanks for making it the hottest day in 100 years.
Hey, Chris and I were in Phoenix. We're not. Don't even talk to me about it.
I was thankful for the excuse not to be in the race.
Yeah. So it was. I knew the hills were coming, but I couldn't plan for the heat. So it knocked me off a few minutes. But I was proud of the 218.
Yeah.
So, you guys are talking a lot about health. Obviously, we're talking about finance. You were in a spot where you were 100 pounds overweight in sports gambling addiction. And then now I've heard you reference come to Jesus meetings. Like, what has this done for you? Obviously, discipline bleeds. Health into finances back into health. How has this affected your spiritual journey?
Well, it all led, one by one. And, I was blessed with, finding some friends and mentors that led me into personal growth and personal development and into, a great platform, Darren Hardy and the Compound Effect. And it simply, once I found and started uncovering and unpeeling the onion, like Simon Sinek says, and start with why, you really get to that, what is that why? and I just did it with weight, and then it bled into finance, and the next, and obviously, relationships, and then it got to Christ and into believing to where I went forward and accepted Christ about a year and a half ago, and was baptized a year or so ago. So it's just that evolutionary process of just making those small decisions that started 5 years ago that put me here in Nashville, or us in Nashville.
Yes.
3 half marathons and 100 pounds and $500,000 in debt lighter.
Wow. And now it's just a nice income. And I mean, what in the world? What are you going to do with all that money now?
Man, it's so awesome.
Buy a car.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first thing we're going to do.
I'm thinking of BMW.
Yeah. So we're gonna get the emergency fund a little fatter. It's been a little worrying looking over there in the right corner of my eye, seeing $1,000 for a long time.
Really?
But we're gonna get another vehicle. So Uber has been fantastic. We have leveraged Uber a lot in Washington D.C.
Absolutely.
So definitely get a car. And one of the things that if I can share, just out there, the people that are either listening to this for the first time is, you can make this as stressful as you want, or you can make this as fun as you want. We made this as fun as we want. Melinda did fitness competitions, probably 10, 11 of them, and they're not cheap. We went on a few trips, and so we just cash flowed and planned and, made a path for all of that so we could, enjoy this journey versus, screaming and cutting at each other and the whole 9 yards, over the last 40 months. So, because it definitely would have been stressful enough. So, wherever you all are on your journey, just, start somewhere and make it fun, and it'll go a lot faster.
You guys are inspiring. I mean, you had a total makeover, not a total money makeover, a total makeover.
Yeah, man.
And
Yes,
we'll just blame Jesus for the whole thing. Very cool.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, Matt and Melinda, we got a copy of Chris Hogan's book for you, Retire Inspired. That is the next chapter in your story. Become millionaires and outrageously generous along the way. So Matt and Melinda, Washington, D.C., $550,000 paid off, selling a house for $3 in the process, and a Beamer. Did that in 40 months, making $150 to $200. What a great story. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1.
We're debt-free! Wow. Very well done, you two. Very well done. Man, powerful. Transformation is just transformation, isn't it?
It is. That was a fun one for me because I've been able to watch their story unfold on social media. They'd keep me
They were listening to your show and you were tracking them.
Yeah, and they'd keep me updated every couple months, or every couple weeks, really. And like you said, you can make the journey fun, and they did. He was always like, yes, we paid off this. And he told me how much he had left, and he was still in a good mood. So the thing is, control what you can control. Don't try to control what you can't control.
There you go.
Even Chris, discipline bleeds. I want you to write that down. Discipline bleeds. When we go through this transformation, right? Whether it's physical, financial, relational, spiritual, whatever it is, the discipline will bleed. The habits will bleed. Right? I did not set out to pay off $500,000 worth of debt. Hell, I didn't even know that we had it. I was unaware. Right? I did not know I had a drinking problem until I lost 15 pounds and we're like, oh, if I stop drinking this and drink this, I can lose weight. Just don't drink. I went from beer to vodka. I just got drunk faster. I lost weight though. Right? So as we go through this, everyone in this room is looking or has a desire, or in about 7 minutes is going to realize that they want to go through some sort of a transformation, or they need to. And maybe it's your husband or your wife, or maybe it's Jesus, or maybe it's money, or maybe it's business, or maybe it's financial or physical, or maybe it's all of it. I don't know. That's not my decision. But as we go through this exercise, I want you, this is the only rule I have today, other than pay attention, is people are going to write down things in the next 30, 40, 50 minutes. that are their things, not your things, because you're sitting next to them and we're very close to each other. So eyes on your own paper, unless you're invited in. Okay? Because the very first step of any transformation, and today we're talking financial, is awareness. Awareness is transformational in itself, and it will do 50% of the heavy lifting by just writing down the facts. That's why we call them the facts. How much do you weigh? How much is in your bank account? How much debt do you have? How many houses have you closed? How many houses are impending? How many times have you picked up the phone? How many calls have you made? All of the facts. How much debt do you have? How many dates have you gone on with your spouse? How many times have you opened your Bible? Whatever it is. Doesn't matter to me. Your facts. And then, as you're reviewing that list, go through it with no filter, and then review it with no judgment. Because the facts are truth, and the truth will set you free. No shame, no blame, no guilt, just the facts. And take a minute or two and just write it down. You don't have to look at your, you know how much money is in your bank account. You don't have to look at Bank of America app or Ally app to tell you. You looked at it on the way in. Has the closing hit? Just the facts. So as you're going through this, and then this afternoon or tonight or over the weekend, I want you to carve out some time and space, review it with your spouse, review it with your business partner, review it with your boyfriend or girlfriend, review it with your coach, your accountability partner. And I want you to make a decision on one, two, or all of the things that you're going to change. Because once we write it down, the next part is a decision. What is going to be, right now, this is your 300-pound moment. Double X, Tommy Bahama, size 42 Adidas golf pants. That was my facts. Might be someone else's facts. Just the reality. That was mine. What decision are you going to make? Is it I'm going to get off the couch? Is it I'm going to stop using credit cards? Is it I'm going to go open up an account for my taxes? Is it I'm going to go on a date with my spouse? Whatever it is, make a decision. And that can happen instantaneously. What decision has to be made based on the facts that you just wrote down? A lot of you, it's going to be lead generation. What is the lead generation thing you're going to do? How are we going to go get 3 deals under contract before the end of the year? Or the end of the month? Or some of you, by the end of the day. The leads are there, the people are there. We just have to do the work, which is where intentionality comes in. What is it that we're going to do every day? For me, a decade ago, it was just not drink. That was my intentionality. It wasn't I had to stay sober my entire life. It was just like, I'm just not going to drink today. I'm going to get up off the couch today, which has bled into, I'm going to make a phone call today. I'm going to book a call and I'm going to have a call, which has led me to whatever, 5 years ago, I did not have a coaching business. The stuff that you see on stage and, on Instagram or in our lives or all of the things that Melinda and I do did not exist 5 years ago. And those 5 years had flown by. They didn't exist. So being intentional with your thoughts, intentional with your money, having a plan, tracking your money, tracking your calories, tracking how many times you go to church or how many times you go on a date. All this stuff matters because discipline bleeds. And so after we left Nashville, I had sold 1 house. I had just gotten my real estate license. Because I had put such a hard downward pressure on our lifestyle and on our expenses that I figured out how to live on Melinda's income. But I had to go make more money. Had to. I had to go raise the bridge so the boat can go through. Because our boat was just hitting the bridge 24/7 because the water was too high and the bridge was too low. So my only way to go make more money was real estate. So I had a $10,000 check coming in spring of 2017. We actually used that to pay off our last debt. And I didn't know what to do with the money. I'd never been a true entrepreneur business owner. Whoever felt that way. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what business owners do. So I went around my office that I was in and I started asking real estate agents what they would do with their money when they got a check. And I didn't hear invest in real estate, hire a coach, get an admin, buy more leads, anything. I heard pay last year's taxes and next month's car note. As I just paid off $500,000. And I'd realized that my client was the real estate agent, not the buyer or the seller. The buyer or seller was just a mean for me to go make money, but the people that I could impact were the people in this room. Because my job, my purpose was to go help entrepreneurs, real estate agents, couples go create stress-free wealth, which sent me on a journey to unpack and understand what real estate agents actually did with their money. Why was I surrounded in a room with hundreds of real estate agents that were selling thousands of houses a year and none of them had real estate? A small handful. None of them had residual passive reoccurring income on the 1st and the 15th of the month. They just didn't. Because it was sell a house, sell a house, sell a house, sell a house, sell a house until they die. That was their exit strategy. So after thousands of conversations and hundreds of financial transformations later, I uncovered the 5 mistakes that agents make, 3 secrets that we are going to talk about here in a second on what agents can do today to start their stress-free wealth journey. But a few things, and I want you to write this down, and some of this is going to hit you at the core. I'll apologize today. This may hurt, but I'm doing it with a velvet hammer because it's real. And money is not talked about except in rooms like this because of proximity. It's not talked about at brokerage levels. It's not talked about, in teams. It's talked about in rooms like this. It's talked about in masterminds, in intimate circles like this. So I get to be a little bit more aggressive in rooms like this. Do I have your permission to be honest with you all over the next hour? Yes. Great. Real estate agents do not make as much as you think. Hashtag facts. Like, what do you mean we don't make as much as they think? Okay, well, just do the math. You sell $1 million house, it's 3%, 30 grand. How much hits your bank account? It's not 30 grand, right? Because the closing was supposed to happen on the 30th of October, and your cap resets on November 1st, and there is a closing delay. Yeah, we've had that, right? Oh, this one has a referral. Or it was a relocation deal. Or I co-listed it 18 months ago with someone that left the industry, but I still owe them for X, Y, and Z, or whatever. Yeah, real estate agents don't make as much as they think. So one of the things I want you to do is I want you to know exactly how much is going to hit your bank account on every transaction. Know that math. Know that number. It's your top line revenue. Know the numbers. Second thing is real estate agents, and this isn't real estate agents, this is everyone. We all spend more than we care to admit. Yeah. So if we make less than we think and we spend more than we care to admit in business and in personal, it generally causes us to be behind on taxes and or retirement. Fair or fair? Yeah. So knowing that this is the industry that we're in, we have to start to arm ourselves and build a bulletproof vest on how to create stress-free wealth, because we have to go against the grain. When we're in a circle and we want to create a transformation of awareness, decision, and intentionality, the hardest thing to do is to create enough motion to slow down this wheel that's spinning out of control to where it stops and starts going the other direction. So all of the work is heavy on the front end, so it doesn't have to be heavy on the back end. Who eventually wants to stop selling real estate?
Yes.
Yeah. Did anyone become a real estate agent so they can be the world's greatest contract writer? I'm an expert at Century Lock and Supra. Like, none of that was on our goal list when we got our real estate license. But yet, we're expert contract writers, we're great door openers, and we don't have any money. Those jobs don't pay. So as we go through this, the number one mistake, and you can write this down, and actually we'll take a little 30-second time out. If you haven't had a chance to download the ebook, grab your phone, scan the QR code. Like I said, we're going to touch on it today. The book goes deep. It's a 25-page book, or it's a 25-page read. It's about 30 minutes. Gary, it'll take you about an hour. My one joke from stage. It's a 35-minute read. It's easy. It's quick. And it goes deep into the mistakes and how to avoid them. But the number one mistake that real estate agents make is they don't have a plan on how to stop selling real estate. And since you don't have a plan, it's aiming at the board, and it's sell another house and sell another house and buy things because we can afford the payment over and over and over and over for 30 years, and then you wonder why you don't have any money. So I want everyone, and Sean Kukos is going to be here next week talking about business planning. I want you to figure out, you have 30 days to figure out how you're going to stop selling real estate. At some point. And we'll get into a little bit on the diagram if you guys can see it, if I can write big enough. But everybody get this downloaded? Yep. QR code? Great. Awesome. Okay. So 3 secrets that we can implement today. Who runs their business or has seen a profit and loss statement? Okay. About 25, 30% of the room. Great. If you didn't raise your hand, write down profit and loss statement. It comes from it's a financial statement that a bookkeeper can produce. You can produce it through QuickBooks. There's other software. But a financial statement is something you're going to want in your business to review. Right? It'll help you buy a house. It'll help you buy rental properties. But profit hacking is the first thing that we can do, because for those of you who use a profit and loss or have seen a profit and loss statement, where's the very first place that you look on the profit and loss statement? Oh, interesting. So we have sales, $1 million. Who wants this in 2025? Or at a 0. Sales, and then we have expenses. If you're over here, I'm sorry. I tried to put it over there. I wish I was left-handed. And we have expenses, and then we have net profit. Right? Looks familiar? $1 million, we spend money, and hey, there's 600 grand here. Great year. Awesome. Right? Who will take that? Make $1 million, you spend 400, there's 600 grand net profit. Who wants that? Great. 2 questions. Where's the 600 grand?
In your bank account.
Okay, what bank account? Right? Second question. Where's the 200 grand you owe the government on the 600 grand that you made? And I normally get this emoji. This is spent personally throughout the year on who knows what. It's never there. Because when your CPA says, hey, you had a hell of a year, 600 grand, great job, you owe me 200 grand so I can send it to the government. I didn't get the 600 grand and I sure as hell don't have the 200. I guess I got to go sell more real estate for 30 years. Insert the world of real estate agents. So we have to flip this. We were taught in school sales minus expenses equals profit. Right? Frank, you remember learning that in school? Sales minus expenses equals profit. Does that make any sense in any world? We have to flip it. Sales minus profit equal expenses. And we have to force our business to work after we are paid. It's called Profit First. It's in my book. I'm a certified Profit First professional. I spent tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars on my education so I can help you implement it seamlessly. Because it is a monster. If you run a team or you run a significant business or you're a solo agent, Profit First can be a handful. And that's why we have resources. That's why we have coaching. That's why we have developments. That's why we have sprints and we have, consulting and stuff like that. Because it is a monster to get set up. But it works. Profit hacking. So I want everyone to set a goal to pay themselves first forever out of every transaction from here to eternity. Do we need to get a Bible up here and start putting your left hand on Bible stuff? Okay. Second thing, savings and investing hacking. Savings and investing hacking. So people are like, yeah, I know I need to save, I know I need to invest. What's that mean? You have that closing that's going to come in, it's 30 grand, you think it's 30 grand. It's going to come in on the 30th of the month, then it shifts to the 2nd. Now it's suspiciously like $24,000. Okay? All right, well that can get me through this month, but I don't have anything in December. Because that never happens. And so then we have this money that comes in, but yet we have expenses that are going to happen whether we make money or not, right? So we have to take some of the money that we make this month and add age to it so we can spend it in December and in January in EXPCon and Cabo and coaching and paying our taxes or hiring a tax person 12 months from now. So we have to take some of the money that we make this month and add age to it 6, 12, 18, 24 months from now. So now I don't even get the 24? No. At best you get 50 cents on the dollar. You think you make 30, you actually get 12. Because at some point we've got to pay the government and at some point you're going to have business expenses. So we have to take the money that we're making now and add age to it. Savings and investing hacking. And then some of that money that we pay ourselves, guess what we get to do with it? Save and invest it. Because Christmas is on December 25th this year. And Black Friday is in 6 weeks. And then we're going to run up a credit card bill of $2,000 because we didn't save any of the money that we paid ourselves. And then Christmas is going to happen and it's going to be great. And then we're going to get a $2,500 bill in February because we forgot the stuff that we've already forgotten about that we bought for Christmas. This doesn't happen to Sacramento, I know that, but it happens in Las Vegas. Right? I mean, this happens every single day. We go through this. It's like Groundhog Day every year, right? And so we have to take some of the money and add age to it. Because Christmas is on December 25th and our anniversary is on November 6th. And Melinda's birthday is on November 29th. I never get the birthday trip on June 2nd, but... And we started implementing this back in 17 after we paid off all the debt. And we created some margin. And people are always like, why do we have to do all of this stuff? Well, it's because we were going to blame it on Melinda. The reason why we have to do this stuff is because in 2017, she wanted to go on a trip for her birthday. In 2017, we didn't have any money. You just heard, we just worked our brains out to get all the way back to zero. And I was the world's worst real estate agent, and I'd sold one house in 2017. So we didn't have any money, but we had enough to get on a train and go to New York City for a few days. And who's here has seen the movie Meet the Parents? Jack Burns, time scheduled, every minute, locked and loaded. I was so proud of it. It was the worst vacation we'd ever taken in our life because there's so much margin in New York City. We got on the train back and I was like, how was your vacation? How was your birthday? And she was like, it sucked. The carrot cake was good, but it was terrible. And I was like, you're right. It wasn't that great. And she's like, I think we need a little bit more money next year for my birthday. We need to set aside some money. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, we can go somewhere else and this and that. And she's like, I think we should go to a new country every year for my birthday, and I want to do something adventurous on my birthday. Okay? All right, let's see what you got, big shot. Australia. Because that's so close to Northern Virginia. I was like, why Australia? There's like, we passed 4,000 countries on the way there. She's like, I want to go to Australia because it's one of the only 2 places on Earth that you can dive with great white sharks. In Port Lincoln. Port Lincoln is the size of this room, by the way. And I'm like, this is going to cost $1 million. But it sent me and it caused me to start asking bigger questions. And I want you to write that down. Ask yourself bigger questions in the moment when you're going through this financial transformation, and start to ask what you want. So as we unpack, like, when are we going to start to exit the transaction treadmill? We have to understand, what is our odds? Where is the thing that we want to go? When is going to be our throw the phone in the ocean moment to where we don't have to take the listing? Go there. Take yourself out of, I don't have a closing, and put yourself in, I've got more money and I can take my phone and chuck it in the Sea of Cortez. It's over. And so her challenging me to say, hey, we're going to Australia, challenged me to look and see, okay, how much does it cost to fly to Australia? How much are hotels? Oh, when you go to Australia, you don't rent a car because it's the size of the United States. You have to get on another plane if you want to go to a city. You can't just drive from Sydney to Melbourne. I mean, that's like trying to drive from Miami to Dallas. But in my eyes, I had not looked at it. I was just like, oh, nope. So we put together a plan, and it was about $10,000 to $12,000. I was like, I can save $1,500 a month. We just paid off $300,000 of cash flow debt. I can save $1,500, but where do I put it? So I created a sinking fund for $1,500 a month and a plan. Every month when our money came in, I was putting away $1,500, $1,500, $1,500. I got to $7,000, I was able to buy a couple of flights. I got to $3,000 more, I was able to get a couple of hotels. And we went and flew into Sydney and flew into Melbourne and then flew into Adelaide. We drove to Port Lincoln, and this would be a really cool place if I showed a picture of us diving with sharks, but imagine sharks coming at us in a cage. The water's 60 degrees, seals are over here, sharks are coming this way. It was amazing. Put diving with sharks on your list. It was awesome. Trust me. Put diving at the Great Barrier Reef on your list. It's worth it. And so on our way back, she's like, that was fun. We should do it again. So 19 was Belize, 20 St. Lucia, 21 we took a year off. 22 Machu Picchu. Who's done Machu Picchu? Put Machu Picchu on your list. And when you put Machu Picchu on your list, go ahead and put the big boy and big girl train, the Harry Bingham train, to take you from Cusco to Machu Picchu, not the Southwest train. You want the Delta Comfort 1 train to take you to Machu Picchu. Harry Bingham, not the Inca line. You don't want Spirit Airlines taking you to Machu Picchu. You want Delta One taking you. If you're gonna go all the way to Lima and Cusco and do the stuff, do the stuff. Do not shortchange it, because you're not going back. It takes too long, it's too much money, you're just not gonna go back. So on the way back from Lima, we always talk about where we're going next year. And she threw the granddaddy of them all at me. Dubai. We just moved. We're settled into our house. The pool's almost done. And I was like, okay. And she's like, no, Emirates business class, Dubai. Okay. Causes me to act differently. Lead generation is a little different. Conversations with coaching clients are a little different. Conversations with agents are a little different. Because there's a desire behind it, because we're aiming at Oz, not next month's closing. $20,000 trip, at least. Still have nightmares about it. But she'll never forget taking JSX instead of taking Southwest from LA, from Las Vegas to LAX. She'll always remember taking JSX to LAX to get on a business class trip direct to Dubai. Was it worth it? Were the extra calls worth it? Was having a few extra bank accounts and savings accounts worth it? And paying attention and being proactive, not reactive, worth it? To see the look on her face when who's been to Las Vegas? Like the Las Vegas airport, right? It's just off the strip, but you got to drive a little bit. And we've obviously done that a lot, but the FBO in Las Vegas, where the private jets and like the net jets and the JSX, is directly like behind Mandalay Bay on the south end of the strip. And so we're driving and she's like, where are we going? Are you stopping at In-N-Out on the way to the airport? Like what are we doing? Until she turned the corner and she saw JSX and NetJets and she broke down in tears. Was it worth a year of saving and investing and having and going through a framework to do it? Yeah, she'll never forget it. She'll never forget it. So savings and investing hacking. We have to take the money and add age to it, because we're gonna want it and you're gonna wanna stop selling real estate one day. Ask yourself bigger questions. That's savings and investing hacking, is how we moved stress-free from Washington, D.C. to Las Vegas. We started asking ourselves bigger questions. And I want you guys to ask yourselves these questions, and I want you to ask your real estate clients and the agents, your team members, I want you to ask them these questions. Question number 1. Why do you live where you live? You want to generate some sales, you want to generate some appointments and conversations in your database? Do not call and ask people if they know anyone buying or selling real estate. Ask them, why do you live where you live? What's everybody going to say? Kids, job, school, right? That's why. It's because they're handcuffed by something. When we asked ourselves, why do we live in Northern Virginia? It was only because we needed the money to get out of $500,000 worth of debt. And that just was our default. Sure as hell wasn't the weather, because I love traffic. And I love paying tolls to go, I love paying $17 to go 3 exits up the Dulles Toll Road. So as you are asking yourself, why do I live where I live? Ask yourself the next question, if I could live anywhere, where would it be? What do I like and what do I don't like? Well, when I asked myself that question, I was like, I don't like cold, rain, snow, weather, congestion, traffic, politics, glass, steel buildings, over and over and over, and dark clouds over and over and over. I don't like that. It's raining in Northern Virginia. I literally thought I lived in Seattle. No wonder I was stressed. No wonder I had animosity built up. What do I want? 300 days of sunshine, no state income taxes, high quality of life, outdoors, be able to play golf 200 times a year. I'm at 106. Next year I'm hitting 200. And in 6 minutes, we eliminated 95% of the country. It was either Phoenix or Vegas. Florida out, Tennessee out, Texas out, Wyoming out. Sorry, Cara. Montana out. It was either Phoenix or Vegas. If you could live anywhere, where would it be? And and the third question is, what would have to be true for you to live there? This is where we get into building an online business. This is where we get into building a coaching business. This is where we get to building a team. Because if I go sell 24 houses in Reston, Virginia over the next 3 years, and I stack up a ton of money and I make $1.5 million, what happens to that income the day I move to Las Vegas? 0. Overnight. So selling real estate was not my answer. I had to build something that was built online, on a phone, in front of me, in the cloud, regardless of what that is. Which led me on a journey to what had to be true. I had to be making $10,000 a month on the first of the month before we even thought about getting on a plane to looking at real estate in Vegas and Phoenix. Now I've attached my goal to activities, to something I want, and I now can go start saving money for the house that doesn't even exist in the city that I don't know I'm moving to 3 years from now. That's what this does. We're not aiming at the board, we're aiming through the board. Call after call after call, and now all it is now I'm just a phone call away. Having a call with Cara, having a call with Maureen, having a call with Rob. It doesn't matter. I'm just flipping aces at this point, serving the person in front of me without an agenda, and any money that comes in, here's what I'm doing with it. I'm taking this money set aside for the house that I don't even know exists in the city I don't know I'm living in 3 years from now. And it took 3 years. It took about a year to get to $10,000. It took about a year and a half to get to 20. As our agent business with our brokerage kept growing and growing and growing, and we were able to buy a house, put down 10% on pretty much $1 million house in Las Vegas in September of 2021. And for the next 6 months, I watched it being built, and I watched the interest rates go from 2.75 to 5.625. And I watched my mortgage go from $3,200 to $4,800. It just happens, right? And how many people would see that happen and pull the parachute or pull the e-brake because that new mortgage they just can't afford, or the new thing, right? It happens. Except if you're saving and investing your money and you're intentional with it. Awareness, decision, intentionality. Awareness. I can't control the rates. You heard Chris Brown say it, control the controllables. I couldn't control the rate. I couldn't control the price. I couldn't control the building materials. I couldn't control what was happening. But I could control my activities, and I can control how much money I saved and how much money I spent. Because, secret number 3, and you knew it was going to come, the B word. I saved you guys an hour. Budget hacking. As you hear and see the word budget, what comes over your mind? The feeling or the emotion? Restriction. Disaster. Lack. Don't want to do it. Husband says it's not in the budget. I've never said that. I want you to think the word budget as a plan, spending plan, freedom plan, being intentional with your money. Know that $17,000 is coming in, and this is what we're going to do with $17,000 before $17,000 hits our bank account. Who's a little bit more excited about doing a plan? It's not on the plan this month. We'll put it on the list, it's just not on the plan this month. And so as we do this, profit hacking, savings hacking, and budget hacking, we're going to pay ourselves first. We're going to save and invest some of that money for the things that we know or we want to come up. And with the money that's left, and part of that is a plan, we call it a budget, you call it a freedom plan, spending plan, whatever game you want to play with yourself to tell you what to do with your money before you spend it. That's it. That's all it is. And so as we work through these mistakes of understanding where do we want to go, what do we want, when do we want it, right? Mistake number 2 is our path of money. What is our path of money that we're going to have when $17,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 comes in? What are we going to do with it? Doing a budget. Number 2 is actually having a plan and with the budget. Mistake number 3 is the path of money. Interchangeable. Creating a money map, a wealth map for your business and your life. Because can everybody see this? If I'm not standing in the way, I'm going to try to do something here. And as you go through this, and people are like, hey, how do I get to Oz? And I have the mistakes and I have these secrets. Well, one thing I want you guys to look at, and this is, I need a third hand. You've heard me reference like looking at the board versus, or looking through the board and at the board. Can everybody see this? Okay. This is time. This is where we are today. This is where we want to go. This is Oz. This is throw your phone in the ocean moment. This is where we want to go. We're looking this way down the line of time. And if you have 1 or 2 closings, how far down this line of time can you see? By the way, this is a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it doesn't matter. And a closing falls through. Your closing, your baby. And you fight the fire in front of you. You do everything you can to solve that problem. And then we have a pretty big thing in this country coming up in 3 weeks. And your person doesn't win. And we spend 3 weeks fighting that fire.
Don't say that.
Somebody's going to have a person that doesn't win. It's a 50-50 shot. Then Christmas happens and travel delays happen. And then the winter, and then the spring market. And then you keep fighting this fire and it's driving you down this way. We call this the drift. And look how much further you are from where you want to go. And it was only 6 months. Because you're fighting this fire instead of going out here to Oz, looking back, connecting the dots, and building your own yellow brick road to get there. Where do I live? If I could live anywhere, where would it be? What would have to be true for me to be there? Melinda, where do you want to go on your birthday next year? Costa Rica. Okay. I have no idea why, but I'll book the trip. I don't care. Do they have a golf course? I'm in. Profit hacking, savings hacking, budget hacking. Not having a plan, mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is not doing it intentionally on a budget. Mistake number 3 is not having a path or understanding your path of money, which is where profit first in your wealth map. We're going to talk about wealth map here in a minute before we wrap up. Mistake number 4 is not having your savings accounts and sinking funds and emergency funds for when stuff comes up. Because interest rates will never get to 8%. And there's never going to be a settlement that tells you what you can and can't charge. There'll never be a pandemic that shuts down open houses. Like, we need cash because the two things that cause the most stress and anxiety for real estate agents are inconsistent income and financial disorganization. We have to overcome that, and we do it with activity and we do it with money. And you have to have a system and a place and a map for your money. And mistake number 5 is actually exiting the transaction treadmill. What are we going to invest in? Is it real estate? Is it the stock market? Is it syndication funds? Is it multifamily? Is it whatever it is? It doesn't matter to me. Again, this is your awareness and your decision moment. But it's got to be something, and it needs to be intentional. Coach, if all this did, right? We've been here an hour and 10 minutes. We're wrapping up here in 10. I hear you, Coach. We've got to have a bunch of bank accounts. We've got to ask questions. We have to do a budget. Why? Well, if all this did, this system, right? Creating stress-free wealth, the wealth method. I'm going to give you a little bonus here. Wealth method. And following the wealth method, if all it did was help you become organized to create a consistent income, would it be worth it to slow down and set this stuff up?
Yes.
Okay. What if you were able to be profitable in every transaction every time? Who here runs a team? Okay, about a half a dozen, maybe a dozen people. Great. How many people run a team and their production helps fund the team? Yeah. What if you were profitable in every transaction to eventually, you team leaders and broker owners in the room, you get to pay yourself the money. It doesn't go fund your lead source or fund your admin or fund your office. And you were profitable on every transaction forever. And you had a place to where that 600 grand was going to go. What if you were able to remove the stress of paying taxes on time every time? And taxes became like paying a light bill. It's a system. What if you were able to become debt-free? You didn't owe anybody any money. You owned the grass in the backyard. What if all of your rental properties were paid off? Like, how many houses would you have to list if all of your rental properties were eventually paid off? How quickly could you be with me in Cabo teeing it up at a golf course and throw our phone in the ocean? I need to add another thing on here. What if we never had to shoot another TikTok and post it on Instagram to actually try to get a listing? Like, what if we actually never had to do that again? Yeah, I need to add that on here. What if you're able to save your first $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, $1 million? What if you can be able to become a net worth millionaire because of a system? And you didn't have to shoot TikTok and Instagram reels. Like, sign me up for that. People are like, why do you speak everywhere? I was like, because I get an hour's worth of content and I don't have to stare at a camera. I'll pay. Take a screenshot of this. This is math. This isn't Matt Plumer, this is math. And I want us to internalize this and think about if we were able to save $1,000 or $2,500 or $5,000 or $10,000 a month, what would have to be true? People are like, I can't save $100 or $10,000. Well, not today. But ask yourself and go back through that framework of questions. What would have to be true for you to save $10,000 or to invest $10,000 a month? Well, if I sell $1 million house and that's gross $25,000, and I pay my broker this, and I make about 20 grand, and I pay myself 10,000 of the 20,000, and the rest goes to business and taxes, that's 10 grand. Well, how much does it take to live? Let's just, for mathematical sakes, let's say it's $10,000. How many houses do you need to sell to invest $10,000? 2. Everybody in this room, can you sell 2 houses a month for the next 3 years? Problem solved. It's not 200, it's 2. Or it might be 3. But it generally isn't 4. We just never get to 4. I mean, 4 is like, hey, we can have this done in 7 years. We don't have to sell real estate. So if your runway is shorter, you might have to sell more real estate, increase your sales price, increase the velocity of your income, right? But if you've got a runway, it doesn't take 100 houses a year, like a lot of people think it does. So this is just compound math, but $10,000 invested a month at 10% rate of return for 2 decades is $7.2 million. If I'm half wrong, it's 3.6. Who's going to be okay at 3.6 million? Yeah. Lexi's like, 4-1. I want to go to Dubai with Melinda. Okay. Who learned something today? All right. At the beginning, we talked about transformation, downloading an ebook, understanding this process of what we do with money. And there are a lot of people in this room that 2024 was one hell of a year, and you've been kicked and you're down and you need a roadmap up. That is the ebook. That is your next step to understand. Go back and watch this. Understand what to do with money. Understand the path of money. Understand and start to build a relationship with your money. And then there are some people in the room that have had a pretty good year, or they're on the way up. And you're like, hey, what's my next step? I've got some money. I'm doing this. I'm going in the right direction. My husband and wife, or my wife and I are doing this, or my husband and I are doing this, but we want a map. We want a proven strategy that's going to help us get from A to B, help us get to Oz so we can throw our phone in the ocean. This is for you. This is a stress-free wealth blueprint session that costs $0 for those of you who are ready to take the next step, to say, this is what I want. I'm going to spend some time, I'm going to fill this out, I'm going to spend some time between now and the time that we have a conversation, and I'm going to write down what I want. I'm going to write down my debts. I'm going to write down my cash. I'm going to write down how many closings I have. I'm going to understand and I'm going to know where I want to go and when I want to do it. And by the time we talk on next Friday, this is where I want, and what does the map look like for me to get there? That's for you. Free 99. I've got Brent's Amex on file, so I'll just charge it. Don't tell. So, as we wrap up today, who wrote something down in awareness that hit them kind of where it hurts? Yeah, good. Who's going to make a decision to do something about the money they have, or the debt they have, or what they weigh? Who's doing something about it in the next 30 days? Yeah. Awesome. I'm your accountability coach. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, shoot me a DM, say, this is what I wrote down, this is what I'm going to do in the next 30 days. And then, that's where everybody stops. I want you to write down 2 things after that. It can be either or, depends on who's driven by the carrot, like the fun, the energy, hey, if I go do this, I'm going to reward myself. Who's driven by the carrot? Okay? Who's driven by the stick? That, hey, if I don't accomplish this, I'm going to do this. Who's driven that way? Yeah. Great. Write down, if you're driven by the carrot or the stick, what's your reward or what's your penalty? What's your reward or what's your penalty if you don't do, or you do accomplish the thing that you're set out to do in 30 days? Do not try to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Can you lose 5? Can you save $1,000? Can you open 5 bank accounts? Can you have a conversation with a spouse? Can you go on 4 dates? That kind of stuff. Like, that gets us going in the direction. For those of you who are driven by the carrot, set up a plan to save X amount of dollars so you can reward yourself. Sound logical? If you're driven by the stick, we have an election in 3 weeks. If you're driven by the stick, write down the amount of money that you're going to write a check for the party you don't like if you don't accomplish the thing that you sent me a text on. I don't care who it is, but you're sending somebody a check that you don't want to. That always gets my coaching clients to send in their reports. Doesn't matter to me, carrot or the stick. Follow on Instagram, send me a message on Facebook. This is my target. This is what I'm committed to doing. If I do it, I'm going to reward myself with this. And if I don't, I'm going to write a check for this amount to this party. And if you don't do it, I'm going to post it on Instagram and tag you. We got to have accountability in this room, gang. Because if not, I'm going to come back next October and it's going to be a room twice as much and nobody has any bank accounts set up. And they're mad because they're fighting this fire and you've gone down the drift. So we're here to create change. And so as we wrap up today, know that you're only one budget away. Know that this is just math. That's all it is. It's just math. And we're going to start doing some multiplication instead of addition. Because I want each and every one of you to exit the transaction treadmill. My name is Matt Plumer from Las Vegas, Nevada, and you're only one budget away. All right, so we have some time, Rob. We have some time. Obviously, we've got snacks and food and drinks. I'll come around and do any kind of talking, but I wanted to, if anyone does have any questions, like this isn't necessarily hot seat stuff, and we don't have to get into like all the dirty laundry in front of all your peers, but do we have another handheld, Rob, that we can pass around? Like any questions? My flight's at 2:15, so, and I have lunch, so somewhere between now and 2:15 I have to go.
You were talking earlier, and I think you were kind of alluding to the Profit First book. And I just picked that up from Brent and started reading it. And my question is, I run a company that's a W-2 company. I pay myself partially on W-2. When you get into the tax account that the book talks about, am I supposed to be do I pull money outside of what I've on my payroll? Or is that just the taxes account just for taxes out, another 1099?
You couldn't go with an easier question. You just wanted to jump right into payroll taxes. Yeah, so actually, I'll keep it as high level as possible. So when you do run Profit First, your goal, the whole goal of when we set everything up is to actually force your business to pay your business and your personal taxes. Right? We want your business to pay as much of the business and personal taxes and business expenses. So what? You make more money. Right? And so without getting too much in the weeds, if you run your business on payroll, or if you have a business and you run payroll, you're going to pay taxes actually into the payroll system, right? And so there is a method that I teach that after we say business and personal taxes and you run payroll, you've technically have paid taxes twice. Does that make sense? Yes. So there is a step for reimbursement. And it's a dollar amount or it's a small percentage that you actually reimburse yourself. There you go. You reimburse yourself in the taxes that you have paid through payroll.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And that's that's the very first question, and it's one of the hardest ones. But again, once you kind of map it out and you write it out, it's like, oh, it makes sense. I need to reimburse myself these taxes. Great question. You have a very good, Johnny. We're going to make Johnny, give it up to Johnny. Johnny's going to get his 10,000 steps in today.
Hey, thank you for the presentation today. That was a lot of great information. And you just kind of alluded to the 5 bank accounts, but I don't know if that was 5 actual bank accounts or the 5 credit cards you had mentioned. So can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, so Profit First and the wealth map is what we do is we actually take the money that you make and we organize it into different buckets or different accounts that have rules for the organization, right? So we have a profit account, we have an owner's pay account. So it's like kind of telling our money what to do before we go do it, but it's an organization system, a cash flow management system. And Mike talks about it in the book, and I talk about it in my coaching. Like think about with, toothpaste or actually going to the all-you-can-eat buffet. If you have a largest plate and you go to the all-you-can-eat buffet, how much food are you actually going to put on the plate? A lot. And then how much are you going to eat? A lot, because mama told us to clean our plate. And so if we have an account that just sits there with $100,000 and takes and collects all of our money, and that money then is the same account that we then go spend all of our money. If we have $200,000 in an account from all of our commissions, how much money are we going to spend? $225,000. All of it. So the bank accounts help separate and organize the money for the rules and responsibilities that money has. And that is definitely talked about in the ebook and in Profit First, and we can talk about it on our mapping session.
You definitely live in Las Vegas with the buffet.
Yeah. Yeah, who knew the guy that was sober, lost 100 pounds, and doesn't drink, gamble, or smoke, moved to Las Vegas? For the golf, the taxes, and the outdoor quality of life. Any other questions? Sir?
I just want to ask, what was the second financial mistake? You said pot of money.
Yeah.
I see my neighbors, they crossed it out.
Yeah, so the second mistake number 1 is not having a plan on how to exit the transaction treadmill, right? We talked that extensively about, hey, what is our odds, and we have to write down what we want and when do we want it. Number 2 is we have to budget and have a plan for our money before we go spend it. So the mistake is like living on credit cards and not having a plan for the money before it comes in. And then so we're using credit cards or we're using lines of credit to get from closing to closing, and then the closing falls apart. So the second mistake is not having a budget and living on credit cards.
Thank you.
And then the third is the path of money.
Can I ask another question? Another one is, you mentioned about having a business that pays you before you even get started, like an online business, something automated. Have you real estate in mind, or have you in mind something else?
Well, so for me, it was coaching, right? Because for me, it was just building a coaching business online, serving the person in front of me, and helping them achieve the result, right? And then as I got more excited about, the brokerage I'm with and building a national organization. I'm like, hey, I can go do this. I can go build a sales team or a real estate team, and that didn't require me to live in Northern Virginia. And so as I've thought about it more and more, whether, what happens if that team all leaves or whatever, and that income goes to zero, what are the other things that I need to go create? Software, technology, different packages that are completely online, that are digital. And so when you're in the world of real estate, what's going to be the way to how can you generate leads in a market when you don't necessarily live in that market, right? Or what's going to be the way that you're going to generate revenue by not doing the thing or going to be the person, right? So this is where building a team comes in. This is where looking at a showing assistant model comes in, because there are a lot of people that have full-time jobs, or they go and sell real estate, but they can't be in all places all times, right? So where's that leverage that you can pull, that lever you can pull on that leverage to go help you buy back your time so that you can keep moving your business up and to the right?
Thank you.
Sir?
What were the 2 books that you had mentioned? One of them was Retire, Inspire, and Profit.
Oh, so Profit First is one of my favorite, is the book that I run my entire business through and that I coach everybody through. So actually it definitely required reading material. From a financial standpoint for books, like obviously Dave's book, The Total Money Makeover, was written 15, 20 years ago. It's not archaic. It just tells, it's a bunch of stories and it walks through the baby steps. Obviously, my ebook, Profit First, The Psychology of Money, is a very, very good resource. I absolutely love that book. And then as you start progressing, I enjoy The Lifestyle Investor. The Lifestyle Investor book is fantastic. It'll help you navigate some landmines through the investing outside of the stock market world. And then The Simple Path to Wealth. I can't remember the author, J.L. Lewis, I think. The Simple Path to Wealth is very very stock market heavy. So it is not real estate heavy, it is stock market heavy. If that's something that is attractive to you, it is a very simple way to start building and investing in the stock market. And then I have an entire library because I golf and I buy books. Shelf art. Great questions. Any other questions? One more. My star pupil here.
Yeah. Are you part of the Dave Ramsey team creating the International Bells?
I am not. No, I am not part of Dave's team. I went through their educational process, but I am not affiliated with Ramsey Solutions.
Thank you.
Steve.
Explain the options you offer for personal coaching and kind of outline explain to us your personal coaching options, costs, etc. How would someone access some of that information from you?
Yeah, so mattplumer.com is my website. Mattplumer.com is a great place for you to start. This blueprint session actually is where I encourage everybody to start because it helps diagnose the where you are, right? Where you are, where do you want to go? These should be linked. It is fairly new, so the team is still working on this, but they might be, the wealth mapping session might not be up. But anyway, and then we'll self-diagnose, right? There's group coaching, there's done-for-you services, there's one-on-one coaching. I actually have consulting, right? If you just want to stay in your lane of profit first, right? That's a way different than building a relationship and doing a budget with your spouse. So there's different strokes for different folks. There's always a way to serve the person to help them get to their Oz. We will simply just create it. But yeah, there's group coaching, there's one-on-one, there's done-for-you services. I have a team that can do some of the heavy lifting. If you have a ton of moving parts and you don't have the time, effort, or energy, then my team can take over some of that stuff too. Because sometimes it can be a bear when you have a dozen or 24 bank accounts going in different directions and brokered accounts and business budgets and personal budgets and all of the stuff. Like we're saving for 15 different things. Like it can get overwhelming and some people just hey, meet with me monthly and quarterly and just your team do it and then bring the stuff back. But this session is the best place to identify where we need to help you start and where you want to go. Thanks, Steve. It's been an honor serving you all today. I'll be around, and thanks again. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks, Rob.